Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, day number 5. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, and I hope you all had a great weekend. If you are tuning in live this morning, afternoon, or even midnight in India, definitely let me know in the Behance chat. Let me know who you are, where you're tuning in from, and maybe if you've never used Adobe XD before, or if you're using it for the first time during these challenges. Let me know as well. I love seeing all that good stuff. So we've got, who do we have in here? Nyasha and Mafalda and Maria, Anissa, Julia, Richard, Paco's in the house, Tim is in the house, Jack, and everyone else joining me live here. Again, throw it in there. Let me know who you are and what's going on in your life. It's 7:30 in Portugal. Awesome. That's a nice hour. It's not too late, not too early. Justin, how's it going? Anissa from Los Angeles. Newer, it's 10:30 at night. Oh boy, it's getting late. Got someone from Denmark, White Dragon, Leo. Welcome everyone. Glad you're joining me. All right, so if you're brand new to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge, this is week number 2 of this round, but you can still definitely jump in here and participate. Let me hop over to my desktop right over here, and let's explain all the goodness that is the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. So this is the landing page you're going to be going to. Behance.net/challenge/XD. We also have a Photoshop daily challenge if you're into that sort of stuff as well. If you haven't pressed that big blue register button at the top yet, definitely hit that button so you're notified when we do release new challenges. And we release them every single day, 8 o'clock in the morning Pacific time, or whatever that time is for you. Time zones are weird. It's 9:30 p.m. in Sweden for Julia. And we've got, who else do we have? I saw someone from San Jose in here. Another person from Los Angeles. Awesome. All right, so yeah, every single day, around 8 o'clock in the morning, you're going to receive a new challenge. And then you can, as you're building out these challenges, you can join us in our community chat, which is powered by Discord. I'm going to hop over to Discord right now. And we're just about 20,000 designers in Discord, which is amazing. And all of you are so friendly. You're so helpful. We've got a bunch of different channels in here. Sam is announcing the challenges every single morning around 8 o'clock in the morning. So this is today's. I'll go over that in a moment. If you have questions about XD, if you want to share tips and tricks, if you want career advice, there's just chat. There's a lot of different channels in here you can just jump into. But you can also hop into the current challenge section, and this is where people are posting all their challenges that they've been working on for this set of challenges. Joss is in there giving feedback. There's a lot of different people in there giving feedback, getting feedback, applying that feedback, which is really cool to see. And I just love seeing these challenge entries evolve over time from the very beginning all the way to when it's posted on Behance as a case study, which is really cool. All right, so what else do we have going on? Every single day from Monday to Friday at 11:30 Pacific time, you're going to be joining me live to get some inspiration on whatever that challenge is, and then you're going to share your work. Again, you can do it on Discord or you can do it on Behance using the keyword XD Daily Challenge. All right, so last week we kicked off with a presentation timer. We moved on to a leaderboard experience, a road trip randomizer, and then a luxury car rental service. All of these are pretty fun, and some of you are getting incredibly creative with some of this stuff. And today, we're gonna take a little bit of a break. And we're gonna, your apps are gonna take a break. We're gonna be tackling a digital diet experience. Some of you may know this as screen time on iOS. There's a lot of different terms you can use for something like this, but we're essentially gonna be creating a list of apps, showing how much you've used each of those apps, and then showing how you can kind of limit how much you use them, because if you're like me, you probably are out there every weekend playing Pokemon Go or checking Instagram or Twitter or whatever it might be. We're just glued to our phones, so we need an experience that can limit what we do on a daily basis. So here we go. I'm gonna hop over to Adobe XD, and if you haven't yet, if you haven't grabbed the template, press Get Started, grab that template, and this is what it's going to look like. So here we go. And if you have questions throughout this process, I am keeping an eye on chat. And Eric got featured. I did not see that. I haven't been taking a quick look, but congratulations, Eric. I love seeing longtime community members like Eric, who have been participating in our challenges for quite some time, get the recognition that they deserve. So well done, Eric. And if anyone else is looking to get featured, keep posting to Behance. Post some in-depth case studies, and it's only a matter of time. Keep going, and congratulations, Eric. So here's the the template for day number 5. And again, the prompt is to create a digital diet app that limits device usage. And there's an exclamation mark at the end of it because it's very serious, right? So you have some, tasks down here if you want to keep score, some inspiration. This is what the Apple experience looks like. And there's some additional shots that I grabbed from Dribbble that look pretty cool. But you know what? Let's just go ahead and get started. So I'm going to grab my artboard tool over here to the left. And I'm going to simply just click, and it's going to pop an artboard right over here. It does use the last artboard that I created, which is an iPhone 10 or 10s artboard. And by the way, there's an Apple event tomorrow. I'm excited to see what they announce. But I'm designing for iPhone 10 or 10s because I do have one, so it's a little bit easier for me to preview what this looks like directly on my device. So for this artboard, we want a few different things. We kind of want an overall view of what our device usage might look like, and then we want a breakdown of each application. So I have the whole artboard selected. I'm a big fan of dark mode. I'm just gonna darken the screen just a little bit, just like that. There we go. Now at the top, we're gonna start off pretty simple. We want a few different things. We want, a title maybe. So this might be screen time. Screen time. Pretty simple, right? I am using a point text, so I can just grab this, make it larger, make it smaller, or over here to the right, I can enter a direct value. I'll keep it at 18 for now, and I'll go semi-bold, and I'll set the color to maybe, let's say, white. I might also want to set up some guides to make sure that everything on my artboard is nicely aligned. So I can just grab a guide from the left side of the screen. If you do not see that area over here, if you're hovering over top of it and nothing's showing up, they might be hidden. So if you go to the view menu, down to guides, and then show all guides, you'll be able to drag one out. So maybe I'll put one about 32 pixels from the left. I might want 32 pixels from the right, and you're seeing those, contextual information at the top to let me know that that is 32 pixels from the right as well. Perfect. All right. I'm going to pop this somewhere right about here, keeping in mind that there is a notch at the top of the iPhone, so, it's there. All right, so we've got this title here. I'm going to leave this blank for now over here because we will be putting something there later on if we do have time. Now, we want some sort of a chart that kind of displays maybe our daily usage. So I'm going to start by just grabbing a line and drawing one out, just like this. Nothing too crazy. And I might want to increase the size. Let's go for maybe 9 or 10. And I'm going to round out the caps. I'm going to press this button right here. There we go. And I might want to change the color to, let's say, let's go for a nice XD pink or red or something to that extent. I don't know if that works well with the black, but we can always change that later on if we needed to. And then maybe right underneath there might be the day. So this might be M for Monday. Now, do you start on Sunday or do you start on Monday? I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to start on Monday. Make sure to center that and pop it right underneath this line. All right, so now that we've got one line created, we want to create 7 more, or at least 6 more. And we can easily do that using a repeat grid. So I'm going to select both of these objects, and I'm going to, over here to the right, I'm going to hit the repeat grid button, or you can also use Command and Control R. Boop, there we go. And I can, whoops, I'm zoomed in. There we go. And I can simply just drag out 6 more. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. I'm going to make sure to line this up with the side and just drag this out. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I need one more. 7. There we go. Perfect. And just increase the spacing so it looks nice. And I can go through, this will be Tuesday, this will be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Now, here's where we're going to run into a bit of a problem, right? If we were to, iTunes is bouncing. Okay, sure. Thank you, iTunes. If we were to go ahead and grab one of these lines and make it smaller for less usage on one day, they're all going to update. So that's where components comes into play. Within a repeat grid, you can use components. So I can right click, I can make this a component just like that. Now this is the master component, so if I do make changes to this one, it will push to all of the other ones unless I bring in an instance into this one. But if I go into any of the other ones, I can very easily just drag these down, just like this. So I'm editing and overriding the component within a repeat grid. Maybe on Thursday, I didn't use my phone very much. Maybe I used a little bit here. Grab this one, move it down, and Sunday, yeah, I probably used it quite a bit, right? Whoops. There we go. Perfect. All right, so we've got our chart going on. Looks pretty good at the top here, right? But we might want to cycle between different days, different weeks, and that sort of thing. I might also want to make this a little bit maybe bring this down a touch, right? Everything's looking a little bit small. So I'm gonna bring this down. Maybe I'll make this text a little bit larger, 22, and that's kind of a benefit to zooming out and really looking at this. Maybe I'll even, grab this, move this inwards a little bit, bring this into the center. Maybe I'll just line everything up here, right? Just really give it some breathing room, just like that. I can also go ahead and increase the size. There we go. I might have to play around with the repeat grid a little bit, but we'll leave it at that for now. Now down at the bottom, we also want to be able to show the breakdown of our applications that we use on a daily basis. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an area down here to house all that information. So I'm going to grab my rectangle and simply draw one out just about here, right? I might round out the corners a touch, maybe somewhere around 32 pixels, just like that. But I don't want the corners down here rounded. So what I can do is I can hold down Alt or Option and just drag those corners inwards. I can also adjust that over to the right under the border radius, right? I'm gonna turn off the border, perfect. So now that we have this additional area, what we want to do is kind of create another list of what apps we use on a daily basis quite often. So I'm simply going to grab the header right up here, just drag this down. Of course, we can't see it right now, but I'm gonna change the color to a little bit darker and make sure to move it to the top. And I can also move it up or down in my layers panel. So I've got that going on there. And now down below, we need to start creating the actual list. So I'm gonna grab my rectangle and simply draw one out just like this. This will be the app icon, perfect. Maybe I'll round out the corners just a touch, somewhere around 8 pixels, looks pretty good. I won't worry about the border for now, but I will change that shortly. And then I need, let's say, app name. It's a little bit too large, so I'm going to drop that down to, let's say, 16 pixels. Beautiful. And I'll put it about, let's say, 8 pixels from the side. Great. And then maybe down below we want some sort of a bar, very similar to what Apple did. Some sort of a bar that kind of shows how much usage of that application you've been using, right? So just like I did above, I'm going to grab my line tool, shortcut key L, and just drag one out. This one will be quite a bit of usage, and I'll maybe make this a little bit longer. Round out the caps just like I did before, and maybe just drop the color, just like that. All right. And then finally, right beside, we might want the amount of time. So let's say this is 5 hours, right? Make this a little bit smaller, and I'll just set the color exactly like it is over here. And maybe instead of semi-bold, we'll go for medium. All right, so things are looking pretty good, but of course we want a few additional things, right? Maybe I'll also lock this in the background, and I'll just move this over to the side, just so we have a little bit more breathing room. Now on the side here, we might want some sort of a button that allows us to trigger what that screen time or limiting usage interaction looks like. So I'm gonna grab my ellipse, draw one out right about here, make sure everything is centered really nicely. Perfect. That looks good. And I might want, I'm going to actually sample this color here. I can also use the shortcut key I to grab my eyedropper. I might want some sort of an icon. So I'm going to open up my Nucleo application. And here it is. This is a third-party icon manager. I just grabbed my icon packs that I've either purchased or downloaded over the years. And let's go ahead and just look up time or clock. Let's see, symbol icons. Which one looks pretty good? Maybe time? That one looks pretty good. I'm gonna drag this into XD, pop it right about there. I don't want it to stand out too much, so I'll just drop that just a touch. Just set it to white. Maybe I'll just drop size just a little bit. All right. Perfect. So now our list is looking pretty good. We have one entry, but of course we need a lot more. So repeat grids to the rescue, right? So I'm going to just select all of this stuff here, just like I did before, Command and Control R, or press the repeat grid and drag one out down the screen. Let's go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll go for 6 down the screen, and we'll have, let's say, 24 pixels in between each one. All right, so now that we have our list created, we obviously need some information within that list. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hop over to Finder, and there's lots of ways to get information into a repeat grid list, but I do have here, I just grabbed a bunch of app icons from Google, and I can just grab all these icons at once and drag them directly onto any of these little rectangles and pop them into place. And I can turn off the border, and now we have a nice list of applications that we've been using on a daily basis, right? We can do the same thing for text layers. So here I have a plain text document with the app names. I can do the same thing and drag this onto there. It's going to automatically load it. I also have the time that those apps have been used. Again, there we go. And you can also use something like the Google Sheets plugin, and I think it was on day number 4 on Friday, I showed how to use that. You can do something very similar to load information into your repeat grids as well. Yeah, repeat grid is so quick and easy. I'm always using Alt, yes. It's so quick and easy, and it just makes everything look that much better and that much quicker. So, no Snapchat? No, I'm too old for Snapchat. I don't know how those things work. I'm just an old man, aren't I? So we've got this going on. We've got our little time at the top. And of course, your big challenge is, what does it look like if we were to actually, select this button? Is there a modal that pops up? And you can use the iOS UI kit, and I have that over here. So what you can do is you can hop into Finder or File, go down to Get UI Kits, and then you can grab the Apple iOS kit, the Google Material, Microsoft Windows, and you can just grab some of these elements. And they come over as linked files if you want to keep this as a master document. And you can just grab this and use that to limit your device usage, or you can create something completely different on your own. If we do have a little bit of time, I'm going to show you how to do something kind of interesting. Now, one thing you're probably noticing is that this one up here, they're all kind of the same length, right? So what we want to make sure to do is also convert this into a component. So if I make component, I can now go through and make, whoops, I have to select just that object. I can now go through and very easily change the size of this. But you're noticing also this one, it's kind of moving as well. So you might also want to make this a component. That way you can just override this. So I can grab this, I can move this over here. That's 2 hours and 8 minutes. I can move this. You get the idea. I'm not going to waste time and go through the whole thing, but use components within a repeat grid. That way you can override it to your heart's content. All right, let's go for a few more interactions while we still have time. Maybe at the top here, we want some sort of a toggle to toggle between your last week's usage and maybe the last 24 hours. So maybe right over here, we're going to grab the rectangle tool and draw one out, just like this. Maybe I'll round out the corners quite nicely. Perfect. And for the background color, just so it doesn't stand out too much, I'll go for a very subtle gray, just like that. Perfect. And then we want 2 labels inside of it, right? This one might be last week, and I'll make this nice and small. That's probably a little bit too small. Let's go maybe 10, possibly. Well, might have to change that. We'll go for last week, and we'll set this to regular. And then over here, this might be last 24 hours. Perfect. Great. Now, we obviously need to be able to tell which one is toggled on and which one is off. So I'm going to grab the shape in the background, Command-Control-D to duplicate it, and fill this, maybe make it a little bit lighter, just like that, and maybe this one will be the last 24 hours. And I can just drag in. You're noticing as I get to the middle point, my smart guides are letting me know that that is the middle of this box. So I can just move this, snap that into place. That looks pretty good. Let me move it over here, just so I make sure that everything is nicely in line. Perfect. Great. So now it's kind of obvious to know that, hopefully it's obvious, that we are currently on our last week's list of, device usage. Things are not completely lined up, so what I can do is just make sure that everything is centered really nicely, and that's looking pretty good. All right. So now how do we actually animate this thing? Here's what we're going to do. So we're going to hop into prototype mode. I'm going to select my first artboard. I'm going to duplicate this over to the right and then hop into prototype mode. And if you've never used Adobe XD before, all you have to do to animate something is just design both states. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, actually before I hop into prototype mode, I'm going to just drag this little toggle over to the right so we know that this is the last 24 hours. And we're going to hop in here and maybe just drag some of this stuff around, right? Just like this, move this down, move this one up a little bit. Maybe this one we're going to move up a touch. We'll move this one up a touch. And of course, the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday labels don't really work. So maybe we'll start at, let's say, 9 a.m. And we'll just change these. This will be maybe 12. And this will be 3. We'll go by threes, I suppose. This will be 6. This will be 9. This will be 12 again, or 12, and then I don't know what this will be, 3 a.m. None of this makes any sense, but you get it. As you're planning this out, you're probably going to make something that makes a little bit more sense. And of course, you can start adding AM and PM labels as well. But just for the sake of time, we'll just leave it at whatever this is, right? And then I can also go down here. Maybe this day I did not play Pokemon Go very much, right? I can just drag this back. Maybe I only played it for like 24 minutes, right? Or 34 minutes, whatever that is. And then I can just grab this, Twitter, sure, nope. And I'm not going to go through and make all the changes because I don't want to waste too much time. But maybe I used the Adobe XD mobile app quite a bit that day. There we go. This will be 5 hours and 10 minutes. I'll move this one as well. This one, you get the idea. All right. So now that I've basically designed both states, let's go ahead and bring this to life. So I'm going to hop into prototype mode right here at the top, and I'm going to go ahead and select this text label. And of course, you can have a button there, you can have anything you want, but in this case, it's a text label, text layer. And there's this little handle to the right. I'm going to simply drag this over to the second screen. And now over here to the right, we have some properties. So in this case, I do want a user to be able to trigger this with a tap. Of course, if you're doing a drag interaction, voice, or keys and gamepad, you can do those as well. And for the action, I don't want a simple transition because that will either cut to that second screen or it'll slide it over or push it up or something like that. I actually want it to auto animate, and XD is going to look at the differences between those two linked up artboards, and it's going to magically animate those changes. And I might want it to ease in and out. I love the ease in and out easing option because it'll be a little bit slower at the beginning, a little bit slower at the end. And then I'll set the duration for about 0.4 seconds, so it's not too slow, not too quick. All right, and that's all you have to do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the first artboard, press play. And now, let me just move this stuff out of the way. When I do click or tap on 24 hours, everything magically animates. And I can just grab the last week text label, drag it over to the first artboard. There we go. And we can just go back and forth, just like, look at that. Isn't that fancy? Very fancy. And even the text labels change from days to hours. Haha, super cool. Now, the one last thing I want to show you is very quickly, I want to kind of give you some inspiration on what you can do, on what it looks like when you're limiting apps, right? So we have this little icon here. So instead of, maybe you don't want modals popping up in your face, maybe you just want something nice and slick and smooth, something you can post on Dribbble, right? So maybe, in this case, I might want to convert this icon into a component. So I'm going to right click and make component. However, this is a circle. I don't want it to be a circle, and you're going to see why I don't want it to be a circle in a second. So I'm actually going to create a rectangle, just like this, and you're going to notice it's applying it to the entire repeat grid, right? Make sure I have the color selected, no border, but I want this to be completely rounded. So it looks like a circle, but it's not really a circle, right? I'm gonna make sure it's below that icon. I'm gonna delete the circle. Perfect, move it down just one. Now I'm gonna make the entire thing a component just like that. Now the reason I'm doing that is because we might wanna use that as kind of like a boundary to house something else. So maybe when someone clicks on or taps on this icon, it expands, right? And because it's a rectangle, I can simply pull it out just like this, right? I can pull it out the entire way, or I can pull it out just a little bit. Maybe I'll make it a little bit larger, just like that. There's a lot of different things you can do. And then within this, maybe I'll just, pull it out all the way. Whatever looks best, right? And within this, you can start putting labels. So you can have just all your limiting options, your timer, your toggles to switch this on and off, to completely disable it, to disable the app, a lot of different things. But you can basically house everything directly in this. And probably within a few hours, I will upload this to Twitter and Dribbble and all the different places to really show you how this could look when it's in a finished state. But I want to kind of challenge all of you to get creative with what this might look like, to have a really nice user experience, really think this through, and have fun with it. That's the whole point of these challenges, to do something different, have fun with it. Of course, it has to make sense for a user, but go crazy with it. So that'll be it for me for day number 5. I can't speak today. It's day number 5 of the XD Daily Creative Challenge. I will be back tomorrow morning at 11:30 with day number 6. Who knows what we'll be designing. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. Stick around. We've got some more XD streams coming up in just a few minutes, and I will see you all tomorrow morning.